There's There's a university at the tip of Africa that's right at the top of its game. It's a place with a proud history and legacy, pulled upwards by a future that will not be tamed.
It brims over with powerful ideas that again and again lead to potent action and real change. Since when? 6 decades long, it's been home to groundbreakers, change makers, planet shakers, and it's still going strong.
It's the home of forward-thinking higher learning, homegrown pride and a story still unfurling, independent thought which sparks innovation, mindful global citizens and their perpetual liberation.
Today, this is my home, my community, my springboard, my zone, like iron sharpening iron. Here, my potential is mined, my mind is refined, and my future redefined.
It's our time to learn from our past and our histories, to be the leaders of tomorrow's victories.
It's our time to stand up and step into our light.
To rise with Africa and all the world by our side.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? Our graduation ceremony will begin in a few minutes, but before we do so, there are a few announcements we would like you to take heed of. In the event of an emergency, please remain calm. The ushers and the security will guide you to the nearest exit. We ask that you switch off all cell phones or place them on silent. While this isn't a flight, for our graduates, it is quite embarrassing if an embarrassing ringtone goes off while you're crossing the stage. And unless you can really dance to it, it doesn't really work out. Our lavatory facilities are to your left, my right, just by the exit signs. We ask that our guests please refrain from approaching the stage to take photographs. There are photographers in the hall, and you can get photographs from them. After the ceremony, there will be refreshments, and the ushers will guide you to that. For our graduates, most of you would note that there is a seating card behind you, just on the back of your chair. Some of you are looking underneath. This is not the Oprah show. There's nothing there. When you do come up to stage, please bring the seating card with you. You will come up on your right, my left, and you will then come and stand next to the dean. You will hand over your name card to her, and she will then read out your name. If she does not pronounce your name correctly, please gently remind her to do so and tell her how to pronounce it. Some of us do not know how to pronounce quinoa, and it might be quinoa. Please reminder how to do it. For those of you that have a cum laude, a magna cum laude, or a summa cum laude, please make sure that she says it. If she does not, stand here up until she says it. Do not move. It is the one time you are allowed to be a Karen on stage. Once your name has been read out, we ask for the audience to then applaud and then to stop so that the student can then walk across the stage and the next graduate's name can be read out. As you walk across the stage, you will then go to the Rector and Vice Chancellor to be capped. At the red chair, you will see a little stool. You will then bend the knee, facing him. Please do not turn around and sit on it. Face the Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, and he will then cap you. At that point in time, there will be a picture taken from the back. Please do smile. It is quite a good photograph to have. It can be used for your LinkedIn profile, and for those of you who haven't found somebody while studying, it works well on Tinder as well. Once you have been capped by the Rector and Vice Chancellor, you'll move across to the next part where the registrar will invest you. Basically, she will take the hood and place it over your shoulders. At that point, there is another picture that will be taken, and you will then move off stage to collect your certificate. For our PhD graduates, once you are invested, the registrar will ask you to place the cap on your head, and at that point, you will then be officially doctor. For those of you that did not get most of that, just watch the first few people walk across. They will either do it correctly or not. Just learn from them. But for those of you that are quite nervous and do get it wrong, do not worry. We cannot take your degree away just because you did not cross the stage correctly. So do not stress about that. Once the ceremony has begun, we will ask you to please rise for the academic procession and to remain standing as they enter the hall and take their place on stage. Thereafter, we will have the national anthem, and the Vice Chancellor would direct you from then on. To our graduates, congratulations, and to our guests, welcome to UWC.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If I could have the attention of just the graduates for a few moments, please. I'm going to do a dry run showing you the route you need to cross while crossing the stage. We're going to demonstrate it for you. And I'm also going to show you to which camera you must look at which time. That way you can guarantee a good, successful set of photographs. Great. When it's your turn to come up onto stage, important, 2 name cards in your hand. A white one, which is stuck on your seat, and a yellow one that you have completed. Plus your neckband. Those are the only 3 items you come up onto stage with. You'll be ushered out of your seats row by row. You'll queue at the bottom of the steps. When it's your turn to come onto stage, you walk around the back of the podium where this gentleman is standing now. On the carpet, for your convenience, there's a square block. You have to be in that block. If you're a little bit forward or a little bit back, you're out of focus. That's the spot. In the black box, please. You give your white name card to the person who's going to read your name. The yellow one would have been taken away from you at the bottom of the steps. Then you're going to continue across. Sorry. When you're standing on this square box, while your name is being read, you see those poles there with the cameras up there against the wall. When your name is read, look towards that camera and pretend you're happy. Then you walk across the stage. You're going to kneel in front of that big red chair. If you've got long hair, ladies, the hair's behind your left ear. The camera's behind that chair at the back of the stage. Keep your chins up. If you look down, we're going to photograph the top of your head, not as pretty as your face. Keep your head up, smile at the Chancellor, and that's your second photo. Continue across the stage. There's a little raised box. You're going to give your neck band to the person on that box. As the hood goes over your head, do not look at the floor or the ceiling. Look towards those cameras again. And as the hood goes over your head, that's your third photograph. You go off the stage and you exit at that exit door. And then you're going to re-enter the back uitgang door. You're going to come back in there. In the passage, we're going to photograph a portrait of you and you're going to get your certificate. Everybody's photographed, so don't panic. If you haven't ordered yet, we will photograph you. You just place the order of the photographs in the cafeteria on the lower level. That's where we're also taking family photos afterwards. So we will photograph everybody. Just place the order there. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the academic procession.
Morning. That's better. I declare this congregation of the University of the Western Cape duly constituted.
Please join us in the singing of the national anthem. And this morning, the national anthem will be led by our Creative Arts Choir. The university respects and recognizes all faiths, and in an effort to respect the major faiths observed by the UWC community, we have arranged for a spiritual leader from each of these to lead us in prayer on a rotational basis. This morning, we will be led in prayer by Mr. Taj Akleker.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. It's the first chapter of the Holy Quran. The English is as follows. In the name of Allah, most kind and most merciful. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of all the worlds, the most kind, the most merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. You alone we worship, and you alone we turn for help. Guide us on the straight path, the path of those to whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, not of those who have earned your anger, nor of those who have gone astray. O Almighty God, most gracious, most merciful, We thank you for this day and for allowing us to gather here in this beautiful great hall of the University of the Western Cape to celebrate the achievements of the alumni who are going to be graduating today. Almighty God, we beseech you to bless all the students who are graduating today, our alumni, and instill in them wisdom, love, and compassion, and always to be in the service of others. Expand their knowledge so that they can become leaders with a deep understanding of values, spirituality, and humanity. O God Almighty, bless this beautiful institution, the University of the Western Cape. Bless its leadership, its lecturers, and its teachers. Bless its alumni who have passed through these doors and those who are yet to come. O Lord of the world, protect the parents of our alumni. Grant them good health and peace of mind, for their contribution is by no means one which carries mediocrity, but rather carries greatness. O Lord of the worlds, bless us all. Bless our beautiful country and all its people. Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you.
I now call upon the President of the SRC, Mr. Nochawa, to address you.
Greetings to the Vice Chancellor, our respective DVCs, Deans of Faculties, and also our academic support, but most importantly, our prestigious guests and graduates. I know they called upon for the President, but I'm not one. But I'm here speaking on behalf of the SRC and the student populace in its entirety. Standing here today, I'd like to congratulate you guys and wish you well on your journey of life. Many of you are breaking generational curses, while others are following the footsteps of those who came before them in their families. Today is a very special day for all of you here, and probably the most biggest day which you guys have been waiting for throughout your varsity life and your journey here. Being a university student is terrifying, but we all know that being a university student at UWC is only for the brave, and I think we can all agree on that today. You have walked paths which no student should walk. You have been through things which no student should go through. You walked in the rains and in the dark in the terrace of Belleville South, knowing very well that you might not make it, but you still took the chance to come here. We'd like to congratulate you guys, as you guys have made it through what some people would have wished to make. We know that some of you may have lost family members, friends, and also support systems along the way, but you have made it here today. And most importantly, you are victorious. Leaving the doors of UWC shouldn't be only about your degree and yourself, but be for those whom you left at home, your communities, as we know that the support systems which are in place are not used for that. Day in and day out, we see our communities go through a lot, and I think the degrees which you guys hold here today are here to make it better for those who are to come after you. Not everyone who entered the gates of UWC when you entered is here today. Not everyone made it to graduate today. Today being the beginning of all of you being community servants in a manner that you don't just go out with your qualifications, but you also serve the community, uplift the lives of others, as we live in an era whereby we need to uplift each other. I'd also like to further congratulate each and every single one of you who is here today on behalf of the SRC and the student population at large. You guys have made it, and you guys have made us proud. Be proud of yourselves. You have made the journey worthwhile. Thank you.
Ushers. Do we have any guests at the door? There are empty chairs there. No, it's all right. Thank you. Thank you. Graduates, parents, and their loved ones, the university executive and deans, I'd like to extend a special word of welcome to our new Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Student Development, Professor Matete Madiba. Prof. Madiba, if you could rise and show yourself. Also, a word of congratulations to our Deputy Vice-Chancellor, academic, Professor Lavak, whose daughter is also graduating today, following in her mother's footsteps. The President of the SRC and other members of the SRC in attendance, UWC guests, colleagues, all guests, and a special acknowledgement of our guests of honor this morning, our graduates. To our graduates, their parents, and their significant others, welcome to the Jakes Gerwel Great Hall. Thank you to parents, guardians, and loved ones of our students for supporting them during their time at UWC. As an institution, we appreciate the sacrifices you have made, and we congratulate you on the achievements of your charges. Graduates, I would suggest that you get comfortable, very comfortable. Because for my graduation address this morning, I thought I would take a stroll down memory lane and reflect both on the origins of this institution as well as what it has developed into. UWC was one of the so-called Bush colleges created in 1959 to serve a particular ethnic group in line with the apartheid ideology of separate development. The primary purposes of these Bush colleges was to produce the teachers, the social workers, the religious ministers, and the civil servants, so that every ethnic group could be served by members from that group. Hendrik Verwoerd, the architect of apartheid, stated, I quote, "What is the use of teaching the Bantu child mathematics when it cannot use it in practice? Education must train people in accordance with their opportunities in life, according to the sphere in which they live," end quote. And this belief found expression in the types of programs started at these Bush colleges. Science was underdeveloped. There were no high prestige programs such as medicine and engineering. The facilities were bleak and Spartan-like, and the primary focus was teaching, so no or very little impactful research happened at these institutions. However, much to the dismay of the apartheid state, who thought that these ethnic groups should be grateful for the opportunity of having their own university, that gratefulness never materialized. Instead, these campuses were often at the forefront of advocating for social change and protesting the injustices of apartheid. Across the road from the university, in Robert Sobukwe Street, there is the Transnet building, and the top of the Transnet building became the surveillance point for the police as they monitored what happened on this campus and where they could quickly unleash the riot police to storm the university. The resistance to apartheid in this institution culminated in the historical opening of the university to all racial groups under the leadership of the then Vice-Chancellor, Professor Jake Schervel, who we named this hall after. The resistance to apartheid and the opening of our doors to all racial groups had severe consequences. Apart from the consequences for individuals of being detained, persecuted, jailed, the institution was severely punished by government in financial terms. For decades, the institution received only a fraction of the subsidy that was due to it. In a recently published chapter, I demonstrated that in the period 1989 to 1994, UWC received only 57% of the subsidy that was due to it. And then 1994 happened. It should have been a glorious moment for this university that had so actively worked towards the demise of the apartheid state. However, the advent of democracy threatened not to be the promised land for the University of the Western Cape. In the book, The Renaissance of the University of the Western Cape, I detail 3 elements of the perfect storm that almost led to the closure of this university. Firstly, there was the loss of significant number of senior staff who left the university to join the new government. Secondly, there was a significant decline in student numbers, such that at one stage there was a mere 8,000 students on campus. And thirdly, the precarious financial situation of the university due to the significant decline in student numbers and decades of underfunding. It was so bad that the National Working Group recommended to the Minister of Education that UWC was no longer viable as an institution and that we should be merged with Seaput across the road from us. The reconstruction and the rebuilding of UWC under the leadership of Professor Brian O'Connell is detailed in the book that I've referred to, The Renaissance of the University of the Western Cape. That was our history. At one point, financially bankrupt, no significant research, and then fast forward to 2023. We have broken out of our apartheid confines. We are no longer a single campus sandwiched between an industrial park and a residential neighborhood. Apart from the main campus, we now have in the Bellville CBD our health sciences building. We also have a building called the Digital Innovation Hub, where we will be working on augmented reality and virtual reality. We also have our dentistry campus in Tygerberg Hospital and another dentistry campus in Mitchell's Plain. Our Center for Humanities Research is located at the Great Moore Building in Woodstock. I want you to cast your mind back to what this institution was at the end of the 90s. Today, on campus, we have the largest life sciences building on the African continent. We have South Africans are amazing. We've become so accustomed to this load shedding, we laugh at it now. I was saying that we have the largest life sciences building on the African continent. My predecessor tirelessly worked to source funding because he wanted to demonstrate the opposite of what Hendrik Verwoerd believed. He wanted to demonstrate that black people can do science. We have recently, 2 years ago, opened a brand new computational and mathematical sciences building. In the beginning of this year, we opened a state-of-the-art education precincts. That is as far as our facilities go. What about our reputation? These days, UWC features as one of the top 10 public universities in South Africa. The international rankings regularly recognize our achievements as a research-led institution. I'm a bit hesitant to say the next part because some of my colleagues will be very upset with me, but let me say it. Many of our disciplines like astrophysics, public health, bioinformatics, law, humanities, psychology, education, and a host of others regularly feature in international subject rankings. I'm sure Hendrik Verwoerd is turning in his grave. We also pride ourselves on the quality of our teaching and learning. In this regard, the achievement of our accounting students in the recently qualifying exam for chartered accountants make us very proud. 100% of our students that sat for the exam the first time passed. And overall, 90% passed what is considered a very tough hurdle for those wanting to become a chartered accountant. Registrar, did I do that the right way? The registrar suggested I must do it that way. Was that right, registrar? But graduates and guests, most important to me is our ethical and value-driven culture as an institution. And I'm not saying this because I'm biased. This is actually externally validated. In his recent book titled A Study of Chronic Dysfunction in South African Universities, the educationist Jonathan Jansen explores the weak foundations of historically black institutions. You know those foundations that I was just taking you down on memory lane? He explores those foundations. But he points out that those weak foundations do not excuse corruptions in those institutions. He singles out UWC and he writes, I quote, "The people machines also when ethical leadership diffuses itself throughout the university." End quote. I've taken you down memory lane. But what does the telling the tale of UWC do with you, the graduates? I believe it has everything to do with it. I know the personal circumstances of many of our students. I know the adversity that they have faced. But look at them now, and look what the future holds for them. I'm very inspired by what Helen Keller wrote. Helen Keller was the first deaf-blind woman to receive a degree. And she wrote, "Even though the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of that suffering." End quote. As a psychologist myself, with an interest in the study of the origins of strength that is associated with the overcoming of adversity, but also being able to flourish and to grow despite adversity. My personal life story and the story of UWC says to you today, graduates, your origin does not define your destiny or your future. Graduates, go out into the world knowing that you are not merely victims of circumstances, that adversity is also opportunities for growth, and most importantly, that you have agency to create your own future. It has been my honor and my privilege to walk this journey with you since the first day I welcomed you in this hall, up to this day where you are enjoying the fruits of your labor. If some of you are the 2020 intake of students, you might recall me telling you the story of The Postman. You can Google it. The Postman is a movie about post-apocalypse America. And to the 2020 graduates, I said, in the movie, Kevin Costner says to everyone that he meets, in order to encourage them, he says, things are getting better. That's what I said to the incoming students in 2020, and we know what happened in 2020. Things did not get better. Graduates, our prayers and our love accompany you on the next stage of your journey. Thank you. I need my... An item in music will now be rendered by Falele Garane.
To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable form, with unbearable sorrow, to love, pure a chase from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into heaven for that heavenly cause. And I know if it only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one man scorned and covered with scars still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star, to reach the unreachable star.
Wow, wow. We've taken care of all the formalities. Now it's your turn. What you've been working for. So I'm sure you've been told about all the formalities. If you need to touch up some lipstick, some hair, now's your opportunity. I didn't declare this registrar, so please don't, please. But when you come to kneel in front of me, I get a commission from the photographer to make sure that to my right at the back, there is a camera. So when you kneel, please face the camera at the back so that you can have a beautiful image of the moment you actually receive your degree. And please help me out here. Next year is the end of my term of office, so I need the cash. By authority vested in me, I shall now admit the candidates who are presented to me and the candidates who were not able to attend this ceremony to degrees, diplomas, and certificates in the university.
Vice Chancellor, the candidate Ntombikhaya Beke Lepi will now be introduced to you by Professor Martin.
Good morning. Ntombi's thesis entitled The Development of an Intervention Strategy to Provide Emotional Support to Nurses Caring for Violent Patients in Acute Wards in Psychiatric Hospitals in the Western Cape. Violence experienced by nurses working in acute psychiatric ward settings has been reported. Supportive interventions for nurses to ameliorate the deleterious effects of violence shows varying response rates or effectiveness. A three-phase sequential multi-method research approach was used to develop the recharge strategy for emotional support of nurses. The components of the strategy consist of stress reduction techniques, mindfulness meditation, debriefing, yoga and relaxation techniques, spiritual support and educational support. The recharge strategy focuses on improving coping skills and enhancing self-care practices amongst nurses working in acute psychiatric units. The strategy will improve emotional well-being of nurses experiencing violence in the workplace.
Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Ntombi Bekelepi. Vice Chancellor, the candidate Blake Bochenpoel will now be introduced to you by his supervisor, Professor Joseph.
Vice Chancellor, Mr. Blake Bochenpoel's thesis addressed the development of a healthcare decision-making model to improve survival of persons with traumatic spinal cord injuries. As we know, the mandate of healthcare systems is to promote survival of service users at the very least. More specifically, provided the lack of understanding on the influencing factors related to survival in persons with spinal cord injuries, the candidate developed a preliminary fit-for-purpose decision-making model. To achieve this, he conducted a rapid review to highlight candidate injury characteristics and process of care exposures, collected longitudinal data for 3 years on these exposures and outcomes, including survival, and performed a descriptive case series of patients who have unfortunately demised. The candidate preliminary model demonstrated sufficient sensitivity and should thus be validated for implementation.
Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Blake Bochenpoel. Vice Chancellor, the candidate Jessica Dutton will now be introduced to you by a supervisor, Professor Knight.
Jessica's PhD is entitled Nurses and Midwives' Perspectives on Barriers to Quality of Care within South Africa's Public Maternal Health Services. The PhD explores how nurses and midwives at 3 midwifery obstetric units in Cape Town understand what barriers exist to offering high-quality care within their clinics. The key findings of the study show that barriers of quality to care include a range of interconnected factors, from interpersonal relations, lack of resources, to socioeconomic issues. Reproductive justice was used as a framework to analyze these findings. This thesis concludes that research and action that involves nurses and midwives in participatory ways, and also changing the policy and resource allocation to change the clinic environment in which they work, is necessary.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Jessica Dutton. Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Tamarin Karen Frank will now be introduced to you by his supervisor, Professor Swart.
South Africans, each one of us, eat every day, and we consume energy-dense, ultra-processed products that are high in nutrients of concern to limit, specifically sugar, sodium, and saturated fat. However, it's very difficult for ordinary citizens to identify unhealthy food products with the information currently available on the packaging of these products. Following an evidence-informed process, a nutrient profile model that identifies unhealthy products high in nutrients of concern was developed and tested. The alignment between ultra-processed products consumption and products subject to warning labels was also assessed. This nutrient profiling model has now been included in draft labeling regulation, which was published on Friday, the 14th of April, to underpin front-of-pack warning labels and restriction of marketing of unhealthy food to children. These policies have the potential to support the fight against obesity and non-communicable diseases in the country.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Tamarin Karen Frank. Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Warren Rupert Jacobs will now be introduced to you by his supervisor, Professor Smith.
Good morning, Vice-Chancellor. The thesis was entitled Strengthening Families Program for ages 10 to 14 and developing a guideline of actionable steps to follow in the cultural adaptation for youth in South Africa. The Strengthening Families program was implemented in 26 cultural contexts with fidelity and efficacy. The PhD revealed gaps in the operationalization of the cultural adaptation process for international dissemination, and in response to that, developed the contextual adaptation model and process checklist known as the CAMP-C, a set of actionable steps to guide contextual adaptation for South Africa. The artifact culminates from a multi-phase triangulated study and has an expanded theoretical structure and clearly articulated operational activities that promote systematic decision-making in and reporting of adaptation processes. The electronic format enables flexible use, and the CAMP-C represents innovation and best practice in adaptation research that is firmly grounded in empirical evidence.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Warren Rupert Jacobs. Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Wasila Yassat will now be introduced to you by her supervisor, Professor Schneider.
Wasila Jassat's PhD explored the implementation of a policy for decentralizing drug-resistant tuberculosis care from specialized centers to more accessible district health services in South Africa. Through a qualitative comparative case study of 2 provinces, she showed how implementation was shaped by variable actor buy-in and competing interpretations of policy, resource constraints, and insufficient integration into the district health system. She also revealed how increasing coverage to poorly capacitated sites compromised quality of care. Her thesis concludes with a middle range theory, asserting that implementation of complex and often ambiguously defined interventions unfolding within a system context that is itself complex requires coordinated strategies across multiple levels, and furthermore results in a dynamic interplay between individuals and organizations that itself shapes the implementation process.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Wasila Jassat.
Ushers, do we still have guests looking for seats? Good.
Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Rinko Konoshita will now be introduced to you by her supervisor, Professor Cooper.
Rinko Kinoshita's thesis is titled Assessing the Influence of Gender Socialization of Early Adolescence Behavior and Perceptions Towards Sexual and Reproductive Health and Gender-Based Violence in Low Socioeconomic Urban Environments in Cape Town, a quantitative study. Rinko Kinoshita's research investigated key factors influencing the construction of early adolescence gender norms using the socio-ecological model. It explored how unequal gender norms may influence early adolescence sexual and romantic relationships, knowledge of HIV and pregnancy prevention, exposure to peer violence and intimate partner violence, adverse childhood events and depression symptoms. She conducted a quantitative cross-sectional study in low socioeconomic suburbs in Cape Town, South Africa, as part of the Global Early Adolescence Study conducted in 14 other countries. The study confirmed that early adolescents construct gender norms through a collective influence of multiple levels of the socio-ecological model. The study contributes new knowledge to the field and underscores an urgent need to incorporate gender transformation interventions that promote early adolescence gender equality.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Rinko Kinoshita. Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Luzanne Carmen Africa will now be introduced to you by her supervisor, Professor Franz.
Luzanne's thesis title is The Development of Guidelines to Incorporate Core Principles of Interprofessional Practice into Rehabilitation Services at a Primary Healthcare Facility. The provision of interprofessional care and practice is essential to the improvement of healthcare services. In a study, Miss Africa developed guidelines that incorporate interprofessional practice principles into the rehabilitation sector of a primary healthcare facility. Guidelines that serve as an operational framework to ensure that the population receives care that is of a high quality and centered on the needs of the patient were developed through the use of a multi-method case study methodology. Findings from the study can be used to encourage patient care that is viewed through the lens of interprofessional practice. The results of this research were presented at 2 international conferences and published in 3 different journals.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Luzanne Carmen Africa. Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Numbuyo Lukalelo will now be introduced to you by her supervisor, Professor Roman.
Good morning. The title of the thesis, Guidelines for Social Work Interventions with Children Affected by HIV and AIDS. Children affected by HIV and AIDS are in need of care, which is required by law to be attended to by social workers. Social workers are required to design interventions that will protect the rights of children in need of care. Although there are interventions attempting to support children affected by HIV, these interventions do not clearly define the role of the social worker. Numbuyo Lukalelo developed guidelines for social work interventions for children affected by HIV and AIDS. Using an intervention mapping research design, 2 phases were implemented to conduct the study. The guidelines have the potential to strengthen existing social work intervention methods and provide guidance to organizations ensuring their interventions support HIV-affected children, caregivers, and communities.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Numbuyo Lukalelo. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Tiny Kelebohile Masupe will now be introduced to you by her supervisor, Professor Puwani.
The title of the thesis is Early Detection, Prevention, and Self-Management of Type 2 Diabetes and Hypertension in an Urban Township in the Western Cape, South Africa. The rising burden of type 2 diabetes mellitus and hypertension on weak public health system in low and middle-income countries requires innovative approaches for disease prevention and management. Tiny conducted mixed method research in peri-urban townships in the Western Cape to gain in-depth understanding of contextual and environmental factors relevant to patient self-management and to explore barriers towards optimal self-management amongst healthcare workers and patients living with diabetes and/or hypertension. The work was complemented by an evaluation of chronic disease monitoring in the public health sector and resulted in formulation of a patient-informed, contextualized self-management care package recommended to policymakers for consideration in public health sector.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Taini Kelepohile Masupe. Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Mulenga Mary Mukhana will now be introduced to you by her supervisor, Professor Mchiza.
Mulenga's thesis developed evidence-based, context-appropriate public policy reforms models that coherently promote healthy food environments and food consumption patterns in Zambia. She prospectively explored opportunities for strengthening policies to better address the food environment-related drivers of the double burden of malnutrition among adolescents in Zambia. She found that Zambian school-going adolescents predominantly snacked on ultra-processed foods that is rich in sugar and salt because it is easily accessible and cheap around their schools. She also found that Zambia doesn't have internationally recommended legislative policy measures that regulate the sale of unhealthy food around schools. This was confirmed by the nutrition-related stakeholders who also perceive that the Zambian legislative policy measures are unfeasible. Hence, she developed policy reforms to prioritize guidelines that regulate the food environment.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Mulenga Mary Mukhana. Vice-Chancellor, the candidate David Paul Nklangwa will now be introduced to you by his supervisor, Dr. Limbani.
The thesis title is The Effects of Poor Menstrual Hygiene Management on Sexual and Reproductive Health and Education Outcomes Among Adolescent Girls in Rural Tanzania. David Nklangwa's study focused on the effects of menstrual hygiene management in rural Tanzania on girls' educational attendance and psychosocial well-being using a mixed methods approach. Key results from his quantitative study showed that about 2/3 of the schoolgirls practice poor menstrual hygiene management. He also found significant associations between poor menstrual hygiene management and school absenteeism, as well as reproductive tract infections and embarrassment. Qualitative findings revealed that mothers played a key role in counseling and guiding their daughters during their menses, while fathers funded their sanitary wear. The study contributes new knowledge on the effects of poor menstrual hygiene management on schoolgirls' absenteeism, reproductive tract infections, and psychological impact. The need for policies and interventions that ensure access to adequate menstrual hygiene management facilities, education, reduction of stigma, and training girls in schools is vital.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on David Paul Nigalangwa. Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Emeka Okonji will now be introduced to you by his supervisor, Professor Van Wyk.
The title of Emeka's thesis is Evaluation of a Psychosocial Support Intervention on Adherence and Retention in Care among Adolescents on Antiretroviral Therapy in Elanzeni District, Mpumalanga. Adolescents living with HIV struggle to consistently adhere to and remain engaged in HIV care. Mr. Konji conducted an explanatory mixed method study to evaluate the psychosocial support intervention for adolescents living with HIV in Elanzani District, Mpumalanga, that aimed to improve viral suppression and retention in care during the time of the COVID-19 pandemic. In demonstrating the success of the intervention, he proposes a biopsychosocial model for adolescents living with HIV that includes enhanced clinical care, facilitated disclosure of HIV status, peer group support, and education for improved adherence. His doctoral work produced 7 peer-reviewed journal publications.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Emeka Okonji. Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Zaida Oath will now be introduced to you by her supervisor, Professor Van Wyk.
The thesis of Zaida's, the title of Zaida's thesis is The Conceptualization and Assessment of Mental Health Wellness of Adolescents Living with HIV and on Antiretroviral Therapy in the Western Cape province of South Africa. Adolescence is a period of tumultuous change and development, both physically and psychologically. Adolescents living with HIV have the double jeopardy of negotiating this challenging life stage while coming to terms with a chronic lifelong condition. Maintaining positive mental wellness is key to successfully manage the psychosocial and physiological stresses of adolescents and being on HIV treatment. However, relatively little measures exist to measure mental wellness of adolescents living with HIV in Africa. Ms. Orth embarked on an epic journey to conceptualize mental wellness for adolescents living with HIV and developed a salutogenic model of mental wellness which informed the mental wellness for adolescents living with HIV measure. Her doctoral work produced 8 peer-reviewed journal publications.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Zaida Oath. Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Catherine Jane Pereira Kotze will now be introduced to you by her supervisor, Professor Doherty.
Catherine Pereira Kotze's PhD thesis is entitled Understanding the Components of Comprehensive Maternity Protection Available and Accessible to Non-Standard Employees in the Western Cape, Domestic Workers as a Case Study. Maternity protection refers to a set of entitlements for working women during pregnancy, childbirth, and upon return to work while breastfeeding. Katie evaluated the maternity protection policy environment in South Africa, especially as it relates to non-standard workers. Stakeholders' understanding of and Western Cape domestic workers' access to maternity protection was also assessed. The findings showed that domestic workers have insufficient access to maternity protection, and this can negatively influence breastfeeding practices. Universal, comprehensive maternity protection for all working women could encourage significant health, development, social, and economic benefits for current and future generations, especially if an enabling environment for breastfeeding was ensured.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Catherine Jane Pereira Kotze. Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Joyce Shoniseni Ramabulani Nzuta will now be introduced to you by her supervisor, Professor Schenk.
Supervision is regarded as one of the key issues to retain social workers in practice. In a thesis exploring the state of social work supervision in South Africa, the candidate completed an extensive and in-depth analysis of the supervision experience of social workers and social work supervisors currently employed by the Department of Social Development and non-governmental organizations. The research adopted a mixed methods approach. The findings of the study suggest that social work supervision is not prioritized to enable it to fulfill its function. Based on the results of the study, valuable guidelines were developed which could improve supervision and service delivery within the welfare sector.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Joyce Shoniseni Rabalulana Nzuta. Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Jerome Alex Samuels will now be introduced to you by his supervisor, Professor Roman.
The title of the thesis, The Development of Guidelines to Enhance the Framework for the Management of Recidivism in the Department of Correctional Services in the Western Cape. Recidivism is the relapse of criminal behavior that results in an individual's rearrest, reconviction, and re-imprisonment. Although the estimated recidivism rates are unacceptably high in South Africa, the management of recidivism is unclear.
Jerome Samuels chose to develop guidelines for managing recidivism in the Department of Correctional Services in the Western Cape. Through a qualitative approach, the guidelines were developed in a two-phased approach. 10 guidelines emerged for managing recidivism, which can significantly contribute to the policy and policy implementation and procedures for managing recidivism in the criminal justice cluster and the Department of Correctional Services in South Africa. These guidelines are a much needed contribution to the criminal justice system.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Jerome Alec Samuels. Vice-Chancellor, the candidate Macheni Derek Sekhala will now be introduced to you by his supervisor, Professor Mchiza.
Derek's thesis was on metabolic syndrome and the risk of consuming street food among commercial taxi drivers in South Africa. It was a cross-sectional study. Derek's PhD sought to identify suitable anthropometric measures that were sought to measure the risk of metabolic syndrome among 20 years and older male minibus taxi drivers operating in Cape Town metropole areas. The taxi drivers had visible signs of fat accumulation, especially around their waist, and according to the International Diabetes Federation algorithm, 70% of them had metabolic syndrome. The results suggested that anthropometrical indices that measure overall body adiposity, such as the body mass index, the percentage body fat, and the Clínica Universidad de Navarra body adiposity estimator were better predictors of metabolic syndrome risk among this group of taxi drivers. Moreover, the cut-off points for detecting metabolic syndrome in this group of taxi drivers were higher than the normal cut-off points that are recommended by the World Health Organization.
Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on Mashwene Derek Sekhala. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Master of Arts Psychology on the following candidates: Nurhan Adams, magna cum laude. Lauren Carly Koopman. Shanae Pettinger. Lobisa Zanele Tumbiani. Wayne van Tonder. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Master of Arts in Child and Family Studies on the following candidate, Barbara Rachel Namima. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Master of Nursing on the following candidates, Polisa Andili Mike Afilika. Luis Ndahambelela Ngeshea. Nathira Haltman. Wilfred Hermanus Koopman. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Master of Psychology on the following candidate, Courtney Milani Christians. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Master of Public Health, Nutrition on the following candidate, Crystal Jacobs. Monique Christel Janssen. Rumatemba Priscilla Sibosa. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Master of Public Health on the following candidates, Sharna Solomon. Diane Abrams. Vuyokazi August. Millicent Nazneem Kasim. Chinelo Abigaili is in Huama. Patricia Noluntando Guiji. Gudzai Shlala. Karen Ann Jennings. K. Joseph. Pendili Simpiwe Gift Kumalo. Leslie Esther Labaskachny. Daphne Mtundu. Mawiswa Matambara. Wishoko Tabita Moshe Grootboom. Michelle Farai Matundwa. Leslie Naidu. Vivian Ndango. Mulisa Nefumban Bada. Sitsi Nyamhuzihwa. Elisha Tinotenda Nyandoro. Sibusisi Sifundo Tabete. Nokutula Portia Zulu. Immaculate Jiva Iruduyaraj. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Master of Science in Physiotherapy on the following candidates: Brent Peterson, Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Master of Science in Nutrition on the following candidate: Lisa Andrea Tice. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Arts Honours Biokinetics on the following candidates: Lyle Kutsil, or Kutsier, Tamsin Lee Goliath, Varshia Singh. Ryan van Wyk. Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Arts Honours in Psychology on the following candidates. Chloni Tandeka, magna cum laude. Shafia Abdullah. Cherie Abramson. Emerentia Sophia Anthony. Shasa Bam. Alicia Sandra Barber. Ferial Daniels. Angelique Duplessis. Xangya Dwane. Amber Irisper. Sakira Gemildin. Suzanne Marie Graham. Tara Lee Hammond. Margot Hansby. Neliswa Yoko. Amy Julius. Sarah Jessica Cader. Gemma Wallace Khan. Rais Khan. Hui Mei Lu. Kauthar Makreel. Sinetemba Masana. Jamie Lee McCallum. Nishad Muhammad. Akolile Mako. Ray Tumetsa Judith Makontedi. Shinika Zania Morty. Mfanelu Nkana. Lukanyo Mpulela Ndwanyana. Analisiwe Ntongkuso. Amy Carden Iris Ross. Imam Saifuddin. Baba Ungile Shumela. Hamida Slami. Morne van Wyk. Brittany Joy Wenzel. Melissa Angel Zulu. Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Arts Honours in Sport, Recreation and Exercise Sciences on the following candidates: Joel Adams, Joshua Albertine, Ubaid Kazi Ali, Courtly Nancy Bay, Garland Cleophas, Andrene Ruby Davids, Anita Mart, Komba Mazaleni. Today, Monica Naidu. Jude Solomons. Daniel Stewart. Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Science Honours Biokinetics on the following candidates: Twane Kutsia, Dandre Degenaar, Shanae Isabella Dupree, Adrian Matthijs, Francais Muller, Hans-Georg Niehaus, Mbatho Ashnet Nyalungu, Isabella Pillay, Tapelo Tanya Ilona Sitotu. Kayla White, Vice Chancellor, I'd like you to confer the degree, the postgrad diploma in nursing education on the following candidates. These will be the first candidates graduating from this postgrad diploma: Nadia Asiviwe, cum laude. Caroline Nomtendeleko Dubelekwele. Timbasile Sean Jarby. Avela Mbopa, Nonhlakla Ntei,
Diatile Walawala.
Ziatile Waluwalu, Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the postgraduate diploma Public Health on the following candidates: Wahona Whitney Adams, Asemhla Ala, Ayanda Cele, Simpiwe Wandeboy Humede, Sifiso Emmanuel Gwebu, Karima Jacobs, Nazreen Jaffer, Catherine Lee, Nobukhosi Cordelia Lukengo, Sharon Mpo Mabina, Hakima Malan, Patience Maseko, Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the postgraduate diploma Child and Family Studies on the following candidates: Fabuth Guamanda, Franklin Jonkers, Zukiswa Malchas, Anissa Peterson, Sandy Charlene Peterson, Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the postgraduate diploma in sport for development on the following candidates: Zinaldo Fredericks, Mishak Mwahi, Zandile Ndumu, Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the Diploma in Interprofessional Education in Health on the following candidates: Muchine Magubewa. Lauren Ruode. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the Bachelor of Arts in Sport, Recreation and Exercise Science on the following candidates: Liam Tattersall, cum laude. Ethan Abrams. Nashita Africa. Bilkis Anthony. Michael Jonathan Armstrong. Sahud Basir. Samir Bed. Jethro Botha. Mahir Brown. Daniel Vaughan Coleman. Victoire Alyssa Davids, who will be invested by her mother, Professor Vivian Levac. Cheslin Charles Doman. Amile Ameshenge Buthelezi. Caitlin Erasmus. Jody Esbach. Joy Esbach. Muhammad Rida Essa. Caleb James Phyllis. Anamika Finch. Raylan Chad Fortune. Zakira Fraser. Dylan Goliath. Siobhan Hoffman. Ayavuka Humata. Muhammad Tariq Junu. Zandile Kulisu. Winston Leslie Lena. Sifosetu Lukoto. Blade Lutz. Abdul Malik Lotters. Nolufefe Grace Lupuwana. Kabelo Kari Mangohale. Daniel Andrew McMahon. Lindili Sibusisu Munyani. Hutaif Beloka. Craig Patience. Robin Timothy Paulson. Shkur Peterson. Kieran Edward Ravi. Lechlo Nolu Rapela. Keisha Caitlin Ross. Sibusetu Goodwill Roto. Ammar Safuddin will be invested by his father, Muhammad Safuddin. Joshua Daniel Saunders. Jesse Dale September. Chad Gershwin Sias. Shamik Simon. Rize Nadir Sterk. Tristan Jeffrey James Taylor. Yannick Volmonk. Mujahid Walters. Jordan Lee Willenberg. Vice Chancellor, I request to confer the degree Bachelor of Complementary Medicine, Phytotherapy on the following candidate. Lufundo Sharon Mpaha, magna cum laude. Nomhlechabo Tando Mabona. Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Complementary Medicine, Naturopathy on the following candidates. Reinhard Skalk Jacobs, magna cum laude. Chiara Barnard, cum laude. Jessica Catherine McLaren, cum laude.
It's
Tarshain Naidu. Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Complementary Medicine, Chinese Medicine and Acupuncture on the following candidates. Chelsea Rees Darman, magna cum laude. Shakira Felix, cum laude. Carter Jeevain, cum laude. Asma Laarbisa, cum laude. Fang Chang Go. Ling Chan Hao. Sadia Mohammed. Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Complementary Medicine Unani Tib on the following candidates. Shazia Kasim, cum laude. Aisha Saib, cum laude. Nadine Felicia Hanslow. Nazira Isaacs. Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Nursing on the following candidates. Abigail Holiday, cum laude. Shirley Abrams. Winona Patricia Abrams. Mariam Bukumi. Zoe Caswell. Lelutu Bridget Hechwana. Cassandra Chandray Klute. Tamika Anthea Cordom. Stacy Leanne Daniels. Muammar Isa. Eloise Esterhuizen. Nicole Fourie.
Kayla Lee Gaffney.
Kayla Lee Gaffley. Sisipo Gujana. Andrea Grizan Goliath. Kwama Gobo. Lee Ann Harrison. Margot Rochelle Hoffman. Dingelichle Kwabahulwayo Hoho. Asipe Chwele. Franjune Guinevere Lunks. Zusipe Lenyana. Sinazo Mpotolo.
Uradukunda la Hairoi.
Iradukunda Lahai Roy. Shantae Zina Mart. Boishoku Maboya. Erin McFarlane. Vasily Madibari. Tandeka Trusty Mahakula. Nsebakazi Mankola. Bongiwe Edith Mapisa. Kuma Mase. Lina Mashia. Samkeliswe Matieni. Zinazu Mayekisu. Asipu Queen Mbukuka. Courtney Maria McArdle. Prudence Montaigne Siatanda Mduma. Monique Melandine Mafokenpa Kuepi. Siatendili Mkhei. Shlela Kumba Mjali. Mkeleni Mjungile. Nonsikelelo Diana Myanmeni. Tumbakili Mkuna. Mtandukazi Mpapele. Sisetu Mchumi. Ayabonga Msila. Lratu Mkumwana. Emima Namushunkuru. Emichla Ndaba. Kinebe Free Ndibingwe. Tembela Ngomwela. Kuiseka Joyce Nonkwelo. Zainabu Mtumbi Buka. Lutau Yungi Hua. Yvonne Tofiki. Ruth October. Wafika October. Lucinda Shannon Paulson. Khalifa Paipian. Jamie Lee Stacy Peterson. Rania Peterson. Krapetse Precious Pilane. Imke Potgieter. Arista Isabel Pula. Annalisa Pebetu. Lihema Masunwabe Molemehlu. Zolani Sulukuchle Habe. Honke Grace Rotimi. Samantha Davidine Samuels. Alexis Sarah Lisa Sawi. Angelica Nadine September. Mishka Danal Salier. Sibachle Sudukwana. Silungile Sinyanya. Nonsindisu Sitole. Nikita Nicole Smith. Nina Elizabeth Smith. Edenly Amber Swartz. Asavela Thomas. Buyoleti Tonki. Chance Delise Ubimana. Ziki Amwa van Rooyen. Glumelu Vazi. Kwako Zanda Vuba. Leandra Vuma. Nadia Walbroek. Glynis Grace Whittaker. Nicole Constance Walshire. Malakiwa Yowa. Ziana Yonga. Ngakolo Zwane. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Science, Complementary Health Sciences on the following candidates. Chantay Groenewald. Tatur Jacqueline Lesuglu. Marlo Low. Simpiwe Nene. Mkhosi Mandiso McDonald Nkhomane. Malibongwe Martin Nkobonde. Onkeziwe Ntalo. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Science, Complementary Medicine, Chinese Medicine on the following candidates. Jianli Lu. Siamtanda Yumbeka. Melanie Joy van Niekerk. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Science, Physiotherapy on the following candidate, Walter Masingi. Vice-Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Science in Sport and Exercise Science on the following candidates. Jessica Virgin, cum laude. Muhammad Yusuf Africa. Solomon Lafikle Banda. Jana Bota. Musalat Kasim Davids. Adrian Malcolm, February. Gabby Fisher. Adam Hardy. Erin Renee Hudsenberg. Danelle Kotze. Robbie Lalvo. Seth Lishu. Enzio Emil Lottering. Edward Ndlenleni. Henry Nim. Onako Pelukas Nsana. Michaela Okes. Damien Obermeyer. Andile Rachel Pay. Maria Jose Milena Pullings. Tristan Claude Rinks. Nicholas Slenov. Charlton Steenkamp. Talita van der Walt. Abigail van Rooyen. Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Science Occupational Therapy on the following candidates. Fuad Bihardin. Shazia Khan. Katie Lisa Miller. Bandile Nzamande. Vice Chancellor, I request you to confer the Bachelor of Social Work on the following candidates: Chelsea Jamie Lee Manuel, cum laude. Gary Luke Abrams. Charmaine Maxine Belcher. Charlize Box. Olinka Leroux. Janine Morris. Mbali Khadel Beck.
The name is Mzwanele. His name is Khani.
Mzwanele Khani. And Abungili Anita Spielman.
No. The Vice-Chancellor, who became a photographer's assistant, just so that you guys can have a great photo of the moment that you are capped. I hope those of you receiving a first degree or even a second or a third degree is suitably inspired by the blue gowns. I must say that everything is about numbers for me. I'm a statistician on the side. And I'm pleasantly pleased that the men are in the minority. There are 18 doctorates, 12 of them women, 6 of them men. Prof. Fielding, are we going to see that with science? Okay, we look forward to your graduation ceremony. Parents, I could feel, parents and guests, I could feel your energy. If this is your first visit to the University of the Western Cape, I hope that it was a pleasant one, and I hope that you are suitably impressed with what the University of the Western Cape has become. I mentioned I mentioned Bush College in my graduation address, and these days we are actually quite proud of being the only university that is the custodian of a national nature reserve. So as you leave campus towards Robert Sobukwe Road, the nature reserve is on your left-hand side. Guests and parents, please join me in wishing these young people, and some not so young, let's wish them well on their future, and please join me to show your appreciation for their achievements. Thank you. Graduates, you have written the exams alone. Hopefully you've written it alone. You have written it alone. Your achievements are your own. But you would not have been here if it was not for the love and the support of your family, your husband, your wife, your parents. So please rise. Find your loved one in the audience and wave your certificate at them in appreciation. Thank you. Thank you. While you are standing, also show your appreciation to your mentors, your lecturers, and the academic staff. Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. Don't you think, CHS faculty, don't you think that your dean was a real soldat today? This is graduation ceremony 3. We have 9 more to go. No, but please don't feel sorry for us, because that's how we roll. This congregation of the University of the Western Cape is now dissolved.
wish and they wish and they wish and they wish and they wishing on me. Yeah. I've been moving calm, don't start no trouble with me. Trying to keep it peaceful is a struggle for me. Don't pull up at 6 a.m. to cuddle with me. You know how I like it when you loving on me. I don't wanna die for them to miss me. Yes, I see the things that they wishing on me. Hope I got some brothers that outlive me. They gon' tell the story was different with me. God's plan, God's plan. I hold back, sometimes I won't, yeah. I feel good, sometimes I don't, hey, no. I finesse down Western Road, hey, next. Might go down to G.O.D., yeah, wait. I go hard on Southside G, yeah, wait. I make sure that Northside eat. And still, bad things. It's a lot of bad things that they wish and they wish and they wish and they wish and they wishing on me. Bad things. It's a lot of bad things that they wish and they wish and they wish and they wish and they wishing on me. Yeah. Hey, hey. She say, do you love me? I tell her only partly. I only love my bed and my mama, I'm sorry. 50 dub, I even got it tatted on me. 81, they'll bring the crashers to the party. And you know me, turn the 02 into the 03, dawg. Without 40 Ollie, there be no me. Imagine if I never met the broskies. God's plan, God's plan. I can't do this on my own, hey, no, hey. Someone watching it close, yeah, close. I've been me since Scarlet Road, hey, road, hey. Might go down as G.O.D., yeah, wait. I go hard on Southside G, hey, wait. I make sure that Northside eat, yeah. And still, bad things. It's a lot of bad things that they wishing and wishing and wishing and wishing they wishing on me. Yeah. Yeah. Bad things. It's a lot of bad things that they wish and they wish and they wish and they wish and they wishing on me.